Hello and welcome to MTG-Profits, podcast number 12. In this episode, I'm joined by my co-host Andy.
Hey, everybody.
And of course, I'm Devin, and we're going to bring you some Magic the Gathering news and maybe a pick or two toward the end of the episode. Before I get too deep into it, I wanted to mention, for those of you interested in seeing some of our information, please feel free to check out the website. That's mtgprofits.com. No dash, just all letters, MTG-Profits with an F. And got some cool information going up there. Andy's been toiling away and really improving the website.
Still in progress, everybody. So keep checking back. It's like I said, it's only going to get better. So just put a little more time and energy into it. You'll see some cool things. So keep checking.
I know I like to sometimes just see some of the things in text form, and even things like, oh, what were the picks, and I think it's kind of nice that you've got it out there.
And that was some of my thoughts too, like on some of these other sites where it seems like a lot of people are going more videos, and honestly, if I'm going to a site, I just want to quickly peruse information and move on. I don't want to watch a video on something.
I don't want to watch an 8-minute video about something that I can read in a minute tops.
Exactly.
So, now, of course, all of our listeners need to absolutely make sure that you listen to our entire podcast.
Absolutely. That doesn't apply
don't skip the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You're here right now, so you're doing the right thing.
Exactly. Just have us playing in the background and just soak it in.
Yes, enjoy the melody that is our voices.
Become one with the MTG Profits.
We are here for you.
So just
check it out, and if you're listening to this too, that it's probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Awesome.
Yes, you're awesome, absolutely, and you're enjoying Thanksgiving and maybe have some time off. So happy Thanksgiving, and hope you have a good time with your family and friends.
That's right. Hopefully playing some Magic.
Yeah, use that spare time and the family gathering to get together and play some games and board games and, of course, some Magic.
Absolutely. And speaking of Magic, we've got a few relatively, I think, brief news items. My first news item was kind of a little bit of a shocker. I follow a few of the YouTubers on Magic, and I'd say probably most of them, but one of the more humorous ones was a guy formerly known as MTG Purple. He has more recently been going by the moniker the Magic Historian, and he did some lore videos and some funny videos and rants, and he's known for his live streaming. He does tremendous amounts of live streaming, and he always has, he does it twice a week for hours at a time. So he's very plugged into his user base and his listener base, and he likes to have a lot of interaction. That seems to be his primary drive for producing content, and he really is his own man. He produces his own content. He doesn't pull any punches at all. And so a lot of his criticisms are somewhat harsh in some cases, but overall, it's really quite humorous, and he's been playing Magic for quite some time, since about the time we started playing, Revised Time, and it's actually part of his business. He actually helps to run the Magic, the Gathering store at his LGS, and he actually lives in Canada. He's a Canadian.
Oh.
And he's gotten so fed up with Magic and Wizards of the Coast's current sort of direction, with the problems with their card printing and the problems that they're sort of delivering unto the LGSs, that he's actually going to quit streaming and talking about Magic, because he doesn't feel like he wants to promote their product and their brand, and he's sort of abandoning Magic as a YouTube channel, and he's rebranding to just his name, and he's also selling his entire collection, barring his sentimental cards like his cube and some of his first cards ever. So kind of a sad thing when you see some of the YouTubers disappear, and especially one that was super passionate about the game, that really grew the game in his local area from scratch, from 2 players to 30 coming in on an FNM.
Mm-hmm.
When you see these guys getting fed up, you're in trouble, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's bound to happen, that you're gonna have people who are gonna abandon the game, that they're just not gonna like the politics and business of Wizards, and they're just had enough and they're gonna move on. It's
Yeah, it's really kind of a sad thing, though. When you have the most passionate player base, and they're the ones that are leaving. I think you're in trouble. It seems like Wizards seems to be pandering more towards the investor slash, the person that's maybe the collectors, but not the players. And
sure.
I think that's damaging over time, and I think he feels that too, and I think that's why he wants to leave. So, it's
Well,
funny. I don't know. Did you read the story about the old guy? Not the old guy, but he's probably our age. But
he's an old guy.
he's an old guy. But he had
We're not old.
he was running these library FNMs for children. Did you hear this story?
No, I don't.
Oh man,
Maybe,
maybe.
maybe.
This was sort of kind of a brutally stupid story, and you wonder what people are thinking. But there was a guy had a very large Magic collection, wanted to teach people how to play Magic and try to grow his community, and he hooked up with a guy that like a comic book shop guy, and he said, hey, these are kind of commingled products in a lot of cases, and we can, grow Magic, and you can sell cards, and, I'll run all your events. I'm like a judge, and to top it off, this guy used to write articles for MagicTheGathering.com, so he's somewhat plugged into Wizards of the Coast, so he was an official staff writer for them, wrote several articles that were, on their primary webpage. And so what was happening was they didn't have a large enough play space to be a Wizards Play Network location. So what they did was they wrote Wizards for like a special dispensation, said, hey, our current physical location doesn't meet your requirements. However, we have a local library, and we would like to hold our events at the library. We have permission from the library to do this, and we're going to do this every Friday night. We're going to run it just like a tournament. We're going to use their physical space, and we're going to bring the cards. We're going to have the prize support, and we're going to act as a Wizards Play Network in that location. We just won't be selling cards at that time. We'll sort of pre-sell them.
Sure.
And what was happening? It was great for the kids. The library loved it. It got kids in the library. They had no problems. The kids were well behaved. The guy loved teaching the kids how to play. Oh, and another thing, these are all like relatively young children, like 13 and below. So these are like youngish kids coming into the game.
Prime audience and a good target
good
market
future
here.
market.
Yeah.
The parents of the children were happy with it because they could sort of drop the kids and run, and know that the kids would be busy for a couple of hours a day. And or in this, in the early evening, know that they were being supervised at the library, and you know what? You've been to some LGSs.
Sure.
Like if you're a parent, honestly, you're not going to drop your 11-year-old off at some of these places.
Probably not. I have seen parents do it, and I kind of wonder, a little bit about that. I don't feel it's really a safety issue per se, but
they're kind of in dingy neighborhoods in some cases. It's like
it is quite a varied crowd. And
it is. And even though a lot of LGSs, work to make a family-friendly environment, I can't imagine myself dropping my 11-year-old off and being like, "See you in 2 or 3 hours," But at the library, you're like, "Well, cool, I'll do that."
I have seen parents come and play in an event with their kids there.
Oh, that's totally different. Yeah. I totally think that's easily done. But I don't know about the full-on drop-off.
The full-on drop-off, for an older kid, sure. But, I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of iffy. And I agree, though, that even if the environment's kind of safe, like, the behavior of those gamers is debatable.
Exactly. So this was sort of an ideal scenario for both the parents, for the children who wanted to play. The parents were happy that the kids weren't playing video games. The library was happy to have them. The guy was happy to teach the kids, and the store made, marginal money from this. It would be like $20 for a pre-release or something. They had prize support for the kids, and they had auto wins for everyone that attended. So every kid that played would get like a free booster pack. So nobody felt bad that they were leaving. It was honestly probably like a relatively ideal way for young kids to learn Magic. So then what happened was
this story does sound familiar. Yeah, I think
you might have read about
pictures or some notes
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
So apparently Wizards yanked the store's WPN status because they were not actually the play space, the location providing the play space. And so then the guy said, well, what the hell? So he petitioned them, and he said, hey, I think you've made a mistake. We've already written you about why we have this awkward situation, and you've already agreed to, give us the WPN status. And they were like, too bad, so sad, we've revoked it, and we're not going to give it back to you. So he then appealed again. And then he started talking to people at the company that he had known from his days writing for them.
Yeah.
And eventually, after 3 letters, and his letters, I read the actual letters, and I wish I had one in front of me. They were very professionally written. Like, these were not like rants about like, you will give it to me. It was it was very
well written.
Super, in fact, mellow, I would say. Yeah. And so they eventually did allow that to happen, but it was really only because he knew the right people. Yeah. And but the sad state of the situation is, if he didn't, he would have gotten hosed, and WotC would have just basically destroyed the future of Magic for all those youngsters.
Wow.
So, when you read stories like that, you're sitting here scratching your head. Yeah. Thinking, what are you thinking, you dummies?
Exactly. It doesn't make much sense.
It really doesn't.
To echo that too, though, the Wizards played that's kind of an older kind of creation, wasn't it?
The Wizards Play Network stuff?
Yeah.
Well, it's still critically important because that's how they get prize support. And so, for example, being part of the Wizards Play Network gives you the Friday night promos. It gives you the buy a box tops things. It gives you some of the free swag that you're supposed to be giving out. Sure. So, and historically, being part of the Wizards Play Network got you product at $75 a box. So that no longer is the case because now you have to get everything through distribution. But at the time, it was cool.
And I guess to add to that story, and I can't remember what the program was called. Maybe it was part of the Wizards Play Network, or maybe it was something else. And now this is years ago now, probably, I don't know, at least 8 years ago. But I had signed up for something similar, where you got like a little starter kit of cards and like special kind of promo ones. And the idea was you could then designate a location for holding events, and that anyone could join, and that would be posted.
I remember that. It was like level 0 or level 1 player network, and you could be at like your local clubhouse.
You could meet at a local place, and you'd open this for anyone who would want to play and whatnot. But it was exceedingly difficult to actually pull off because like in this kind of library situation, it had all these criteria. Well, it had to be a public place. You had to get like written or verbal consent by the location. There's a whole bunch of criteria, and I had actually tried to get that accomplished because I was using I had a community center that was I thought would be an ideal location, but it just became too much of a hassle to go through the process, and they actually followed up. I didn't think it would be that much follow-up from Wizards or whoever on their side. And I had communicated back and forth with them, too, to get it to work. And, I just got tired of the hassle of it, and I never really followed through, and I just gave up. It was just not worth the trouble.
It's too cumbersome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but same, kind of case in point to a lesser degree, that, you're trying to, set up something to basically promote and foster their own product. And it's just met with so much resistance.
It's like, I'm going to spit in your mouth while you're trying to help me.
Exactly. It seems like so just counterintuitive. Like, You should make this as easy as possible. But
Yeah.
I
So,
anyway.
so anyway, we lost a relatively popular mid-tier Magic YouTuber this week. So he's talking about Force of Will is his game now, and also Keyforge, which brings us to I think your piece of news.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up too. There's been, it seems to me like a lot of news lately in other card game in the collectible card game and digital card game world. I guess those markets are somewhat kind of fusing a little bit, or at least becoming a little more jumbled. It just seems that there's been a lot of influx of card games lately, and some that I've noticed lately, and certainly would love to hear comments on all these from anyone out there. Just coming out now, there's Artifact, which is a DOTA card game, and this is actually was created by Richard Garfield, if you know the creator of Magic the Gathering. So got a big name behind it, and this one is basically it's an all digital card game, and it's free. I think this is
Oh, is it free? I thought it was
free
like
one.
$20
I take that
I think,
back.
for the Artifact.
I think I take that back. This one is not a free one. But it's if you've heard of DOTA, this is kind of the card game version of it, where you have lanes of uh, creeps and heroes that you're fighting against, with ultimately trying to take out the I forget what they call it, the
The
tower.
World Tree or whatever.
Yeah, the towers that you need to. And it's different, as far as different creatures, the cast and spells you can use, and you have like different basically commanders that you use as well. And there's actually a shopping phase as part of the game too, where you can buy equipment and things. This game is actually going to be officially released November 28th, and you can buy that on Steam. So who knows? Maybe that'll be okay. I don't know. It seems to me like playing DOTA is probably more fun just playing DOTA instead of a card game version of it. But
yeah, I think they're probably just using that as a to have they already have a fan base for the game, so they figure, hey, we can bring some new players that maybe don't play cards, and I think the 3 lanes actually is probably not a bad mechanic in a card game. Like, I actually think that could be viable. Like, if you've got like a base, which would be yourself, and you have 3 ways to protect yourself, and they could grind all the way through one lane, or they could try to split their force. I think that actually could have some fun sort of strategic elements to it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how well that all translates into game. It does seem very gimmicky to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
And definitely, I don't know if you could really pull that up in anything except the digital format.
Yeah, maybe, but I guess that is
like
going
the
to be
shopping phase and creeps that randomly spawn and all this sort of stuff. You're not gonna do it another way.
It'd be too cumbersome.
And I have no idea about the collection aspect of it and how that works, but I guess we'll find out. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens for that. Another game coming out too. Actually, this one's been out, and I think you've started to play this one, right? Eternal, the card game?
I did. I started playing it. I installed it. It was a free one. It was also available on Steam, and I had heard and read good things about it. And so I thought, well, you know what? It's free. Let me take a look. Let me check it out. And it's like one of these free-to-play things. And it has mostly positive reviews. And
sure.
So I thought, well, let me try it. And I started playing it, and it seems and looks very, very much like Hearthstone.
I guess it has one of those Hearthstone mana mechanics, right?
I believe so, but even the look and feel of it, very Hearthstone-esque.
Yeah.
So, and I actually was frustrated by the introduction, and I wanted to just fast forward and get to the game, and it like forced me to play like 3 games that were miserable, and I was like, oh. And then by the time I was finished, I kind of honestly gave up on it. But I could see it being, I don't know. It seemed like another Hearthstone type thing to me. Maybe
Yeah.
apparently it's like Hearthstone with more strategy, deeper interaction. That's one of the weaknesses of Hearthstone. There's very little interaction, not on your turn. There's
Sure.
nothing that happens not on your turn other than their weird trap cards or whatever.
Yeah.
When you think a card's male and
So
it's
this game
female.
it's free to play. You can download it on Steam and grab it. It's been out for about 2 years now. It came out November 18th, 2016. So check it out if you want. I have it, but I haven't tried it. To tie it back to Magic too, this game was created by several Magic Hall of Famers. So I guess the LSV and Patrick Chapin, as well as some others.
Oh,
Uh,
really? The LSV? I didn't realize that.
yeah, Conley Woods, Patrick Sullivan, and Josh Utter Layton.
Hmm.
So that seems to be a common theme that a lot of these, Magic tournament players and other figures have, gone to create other card games and
Yeah, I
other
guess they
things
figure
like
they
that,
could do
other
it better.
ventures. Oh,
Yeah.
like I don't. You probably played it. Ascension. It came out.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
I remember that. Yep.
Chronicles of the Godslayer,
Yeah.
I think, was the first one. Uh,
Yep.
but that was by a professional Magic player, Justin Gary, and that
Kind of a
had
low-level professional Magic player, I think, at that.
that could be.
Yeah.
But
But
that
still,
spawned numerous what do you call it?
expansions.
Expansions.
Yeah.
Honestly, I never felt the game was that great. It's
It was
okay.
it was a little weak. Also very low on the interactions.
Very luck-based game, I felt, and
The art was honestly awful in my opinion as well.
I say exactly the same thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if I've ever seen art that was that
That
hideous.
bad.
It
It's like
just
they have
makes
the
your eyes
same. It's like
bleed because it's just, oh god.
really bad art. You're sitting there thinking, wow, they paid one guy like, you know, $10 to paint all these cards probably, and they're just so bad. The
It was
art style is so
horrible.
bad, and it's all uniformly bad. It's not like Magic where you have some good ones and some bad ones. It's all
Oh,
terrible.
it is just hideous.
It's really almost hard to play, when it comes to deck builders. I
Exactly.
really like, even like Star Realms and those kinds of games are a lot
There's
better.
much better than that. Although, but in fairness, it is a pretty easy game, and you can pick it up pretty quick and play, and you can play with 4 people, I think, is base, and you can add other sets to play with more. And
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. It's there's other games to try first before that one. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
What was the other one?
The
There's a couple more.
Keyforge, I think, was
So
what
the
you wanted to talk
Keyforge,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other new one. That's it actually, I guess, was released official. I guess you could get it officially yesterday. I think was the
I
actual
believe
release
so.
date.
Yep.
Yeah, so you could get that. And this is another new card game. Once again, hey, it's Richard Garfield to the rescue
Been
here.
busy. He's been a busy boy.
Yeah, he's ready to make some more bucks here.
Yeah.
One of these card games is gonna
Make
strike it
him his
big.
millions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's regretting his sellout to WotC
Yeah.
decades ago.
He's probably doing okay though.
I don't know. I think they probably gave him like 50 grand for the game. It wouldn't
Well,
surprise me.
I mean, not necessarily with Magic, but besides the other games that he's spawned as well.
Oh, true. That's true. Yeah, I think he's probably doing all right.
So Keyforge just released. This is another unique deck building game. Well, I shouldn't say deck building. I should
Yeah,
say collectible
maybe.
card game, maybe.
More like, yeah, even maybe more like just card game. Might
Yeah,
be,
maybe just card game is the best.
Yeah.
This is a unique deck game by Richard Garfield. So this is another, it's a dueling type game, and the unique feature of this game is that the decks themselves are unique. You get one unique deck to play with a set list of cards, and you play with just that deck. There's no modifications or anything else. You play with that. I think it's a 37 card deck.
Yep.
Um,
That
and,
is your deck.
and that's it. You
Yep.
don't need to buy boosters and all this kind of stuff. You just play.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Curious. Each deck is unique. It has a unique set of cards. It has a unique name. and they draw from the same pool of 300 cards, and
Yep.
interesting. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I've heard good things, and I haven't played it, but I've heard people seem to like it, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely give it a try and see. The funny news item about that deck, we were talking about it, that game we were talking about it before, and they actually produced a bunch of these decks and released them. I think this was all prior to the official release.
Prior to the release, yeah, they
And
realized it as the cards were going
as
out.
they were going out, another unique feature was that I guess the names of the cards or the names of the decks.
The names of the decks are all randomly computer generated.
Yep.
So they unfortunately
Which
had
sounds,
a few.
oh, well, that'd be kind of fun, It's totally unique. Well, that's true, but someone did not really think this all the way through, and they should have come up with a much better library or algorithm for creating those deck names, which resulted in numerous semi-offensive names, which was not going to go over well with your audience.
Yeah, some of those are funny. I think, what did you find when it said something like Jessica who rides the bone or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Jessica the Bone Rider.
Yeah, it was
Oh gosh.
some really unfortunate deck names that came out with this thing thanks to its random nature.
It's funny too. I think they smartly are trying to remedy that by the ones that did get out. They have a QR code on the deck that is what you use to use your deck in a tournament. You have to scan your QR code to enter a tournament, and it'll tell you if your deck is one of these unfortunately named decks. And if you have one of these decks, they will send you 2 replacement decks for free. And but you have to send them the other ones. So I would actually bet money that the ones that have the funny, unfortunate names are probably actually going to be worth some money.
You're probably right. You're probably, yeah. It was
So,
General Bone Rider Colt. It was the one name.
the Bone Rider.
And then these other ones are just kind of silly, like the villain that digs up porridge, and
Yeah.
Cliffmon, the Oregon scholar of the forest. Or the survivor who grimaces at politics. They just
Yeah,
seem
just
kind
weird.
of weird, and I don't know.
I had seen one earlier about something that hates the blacks or something.
Yeah, there
like
was
that.
another. Yeah, there was some racially charged
Bad ones
too.
Yeah. I think that's what got their attention, and they were like, "Whoa, how did this get out here?" So,
Exactly.
God,
And
funny.
and the one other one too. This one's hasn't come out yet, but has been announced and is coming. I think early next year. Is I don't know if you read the article, Dev, about the new card game from some of the ex-Blizzard developers. It's an online collectible card game called Mythgard.
Oh no, I haven't read anything about that one.
This description seems like it fits pretty much any game. Where Mythgard is described as a vast world where ancient beings, mythological creatures, and mortals all battle for control using both magic and technology.
Yeah. Okay. I predict like maybe one of these games will be alive in 2 years.
Yeah.
Maybe one. So we'll have to see.
I say the art does look pretty good on this game. I don't really have a whole lot to see yet, but this will be coming up early next year. I think it's going to have 330 unique cards, lots of freedom in your deck making. A couple other unique features. It's going to have a 2v2 multiplayer mode, which is kind of
cool. Yeah. Kind of like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's supposed to be doing closed beta January 2019. So
Okay.
Coming.
It'll be curious. Of the new things, I am probably the most curious about the Keyforge. See how that goes.
Agreed. I think that one sounds the best. I mean, do you think though that all these different card games are going to have any impact on Magic?
I really don't know. I think the only thing that's really going to have the impact on Magic is whether or not WotC continues to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I think, realistically, that's probably what's going to impact Magic more than any of these third parties.
Well,
I would almost like the third parties to draw off a substantial amount of people buying Magic products, so that maybe Wizards gets their head out of their ass and straightens up.
Well,
know.
that's they say too that competition actually makes things better and
Exactly.
promotes some change and whatnot. And I don't know, is it fair to say that Wizards has really held the top spot on the collectible card game market?
I believe so. I think it's Magic, then Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh, and the fourth one, the fourth, fifth, and sixth always tends to sort of fluctuate a little bit. I want to say it's Dragon Ball Super, um, Force of Will, Star Wars Destiny, Buddy Fight, I believe, and maybe Card Fight Vanguard or something.
Okay.
Those slots they are in flux a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's always been up there. The Magic's been, you know what it is? I think they've been riding too high on the horse for too long, and
Yeah, they
I
haven't
think
had
they
any
take the user
competition.
base for granted.
Yeah.
So and they seem to be making cards for investors and collectors, but not really making cards for players.
Sure.
Not really. I mean, when was the last time you thought like, wow, there's a cool mechanic, or there's a really fun card? It's
Yeah.
like a lot of the best cards are being reprinted in the master sets, but because they're not printing anything cool and new.
Exactly.
It's like, oh,
It makes me kind of think that this is almost like The Simpsons, where The Simpsons was a great
yeah,
cartoon, and it came out in '89, I think it was, and it was the longest running I think it's the longest running TV show at this point.
of all time, I'm
Yeah,
probably.
at all
Yeah,
time. And yeah, it was great at the beginning, and it was great for quite a while, and then it
yeah,
slowly kind of went downhill. But you always still stick with it because it still has that
yeah,
nostalgia and familiarity, and it's still as good every now and then.
yeah.
So, same
Yeah,
thing like with Wizards.
I think you're right. I think it's a pretty appropriate analogy. Realistically, it's a lot like that. It's like something that started out great and just isn't, and they're just riding on their laurels now. But Wizards is really trying to milk it hard though.
Yep,
It's like they are trying to suckle that teat that's long
big
dried
time,
up.
big
So they
time.
need to
I
find
think
some new
I think
mouths.
it's only going to get harder for them too. I mean, I think the digital space is the next big war ground, and they're way behind in that.
I think they are a bit behind. I think they could catch up with appropriate. I think they're trying hard with Arena. I think they could seal their fate and make the game great by allowing trading and cross-platform
Sure.
support. I don't know why they don't do those basic things. They want to make all the money that Hearthstone does. They
Yeah.
want those whales to just buy those packs.
Mhm.
But man, if they allowed it to be an open system, like the open trading, I think that would be healthier and draw a lot more people in and get a lot more people involved.
I agree. I agree.
You know?
I think you got to loosen the reins a little bit, and you're gonna have to free up some of these options and do it, even at a cost of some money. But I think the long run, it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I don't know.
We'll
We'll
see what
see.
they do, but I
Yeah.
would not hold my breath.
No. Agreed. Agreed. Arena is just maybe a good first step, but too late
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Mm.
But I think it's probably about time for us to move on to our picks here, I think.
Yeah, I guess one quick mention as we were talking about Arena. They did release challenge mode on Arena this past week. It came out Thursday, the 15th.
Yes, I would say limited form.
In a limited form. You
Yeah.
can challenge other players. You have to know their ID in order to do it, and make sure you type it exactly as it is.
Yep. Capitals matter.
Yep, yep, and
It's
it does
case
work.
sensitive.
You can
Yep.
play against somebody.
The funny thing is, like, when you try to challenge someone, it does not show the challenging player that they have been challenged. There's no way for the other person to know. You essentially have to challenge each other essentially simultaneously. There's no buddy
Like,
system. There's no friend mode. You don't know when your friends are online. Even when you challenge your friend, the friend doesn't get a notification saying you are being challenged. It just sits there, and you have to manually challenge each other at the same time.
oh,
So
jeez, yeah, that is really.
I mean, it's not like most games where you have a buddy
Hacking.
list or even any game where you at least, if I challenged you to a duel, something would pop up on your screen saying,
Or
Devin
you
has
have
challenged you.
some sort of lobby mode where you're in a
Yeah,
lobby to play, or you create a private lobby where you could join and then you start a game. Or,
exactly.
there's a lot of options there, but
They've
yeah,
done none of those things.
this feels really just
It feels like playing TA back in 1993 when we had to type in the IP address to find each
yeah,
other's
this is
games.
it's a very crude way of doing it.
Yeah, it's like pre StarCraft 1.
Exactly. And I think these notions of, and techniques of doing these matching and game creation and everything and player versus player and game lobbies and all of that. I mean, it's nothing new. It's been around forever, in different forms. And I think we take it all for granted that that's just a part of the game. But
And you know
yeah,
what? Some of these things should be taken for granted. That should be automatic.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. There's not really a
That's not your fault that you're taking basic things for granted. That's Wizards' fault for not building it into their game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. All I can say is I hope it improves. I'm glad it's there. Let's
Yeah, we'll
make
take
it
what we
better.
can. Yeah,
And
take what we can.
do it soon too.
Exactly.
But you're right. You're right.
Absolutely.
So on to some picks. I think we each got maybe one pick this week.
Yeah, I have kind of a fun pick this week. I consider it maybe not a very high investable pick, but I don't think you can lose with it. I think it's going to go up over time, and it's definitely a card I've been enjoying, and I've actually been enjoying it online. And it's an M19 rare. It's called Goreclaw, the Terror of Kalsisma, and it's a legendary bear. It's 4 mana, 4/3 creature. And once it's in play, it says creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less. So he's a cost reducer for any kind of creature. It doesn't have to be a bear or a dragon or a dinosaur. He reduces cost of any creature power 4 or greater. In addition, whenever he attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater, including himself, gets a +1/+1 and trample till end of turn. So he's a 4 mana 4/3, but on the attack, he's a 4 mana 5/3 trampler that gives all your beasts, or not beasts, but all your four power creatures.
A 5/4 trampler.
Yeah, 5/4 trample. You're right. I misspoke. Yeah, and yeah, +1/+1 and trample. And so right now he's sitting at 71 cents, and I think this is a 4 of in any kind of mono green ramp style deck where you're trying to get big fatties out. He reduces the cost of any of your fatties, and he himself a 4 mana 4/3 or a 4 mana 5/4 when attacking with trample. Can't go wrong with that for
Really
for
great.
1 green and 3 colorless. So
Man, he's doing three great things. He himself is a beast.
Yeah.
He's reducing all your big beasts, and he's also giving them a pretty hefty bonus, I would say, of both the +1/+1 and trample.
yeah, can't go wrong with this guy.
Wow.
Doing a lot for you. He's on curve.
lot.
He's powerful for what he is, and yeah, he's doing a lot for you. 71 cents right now on TCG Player. So
Man.
go out and grab a play set and play with him. He's a fun one.
Yeah, that's definitely a fun card. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised it hasn't made it into any, tournament decks and become
You
more
gotta.
popular.
Sometimes these things just need to find a home.
Yeah.
But I think this one has casual appeal as well. A lot of times, even if you don't find something that's like tournament worthy, if these things have casual appeal, they'll hold their value and slowly grow over time.
Sure. And I think this is probably our very first legendary bear.
Probably,
Never
right?
had another legendary bear.
Yeah, they don't typically rise to the level of legendary.
We've had a lot of bears, and I think
Yeah.
it's always what the bear has become almost a term now for like a
2/2 vanilla
creature. Yeah, 2/2 vanilla creature. So
That's
it's kinda
funny. Yeah, that's true. You're exactly right. It's
funny.
2/2 bears.
Yeah, the 2/2 bears. I guess likewise, I don't have maybe a pick maybe that's maybe as fun as that one, but this is something just kind of thinking more now about the next set, and we've talked a little bit more, and we'll have another episode I think maybe devoted fully on our analysis of this, but following the Guilds of Ravnica, and we still have some other guilds that were left to come out, and one of those is the Azorius, the blue-white guild.
Yep.
And one card you might want to consider picking up for that is Azor, the Lawbringer. It's from Rivals of Ixalan. This is a legendary creature, 2 colorless, 2 white, 2 blue for 6/6 flyer. This is a Sphinx. When he enters the battlefield, each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during the player's next turn, and then you can pay to gain X life and draw X cards. He's a little pricier right now. He's probably he's less than $2.
He's a mythic rare as well.
He's a mythic rare. He did hit a high of about $10 way back.
Oh my!
Beginning of the year. Now he dropped way down. But he is in blue-white. He's a pretty strong flyer. So I think he has some possible potentiality here for the next set. I could definitely see him hitting maybe $3 or so.
Yeah, I think if he finds a home as like a finisher in some kind of like Azor or Azorius style.
Exactly.
I think he could.
Another Sphinx.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that has potential, especially with the upcoming colors. You know what? We're definitely going to have to dedicate an entire episode to the upcoming set.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's money to be made there. Yeah. Very good.
So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so 2 picks this week. We had the Gloriclaw and Azor the Lawbringer. So
Excellent.
Check those out. Go pick up some copies and stick them in your binder.
Very good. Also, check out our website.
Check out the website, MTG-Profits. And remember, new episodes, we'll always have those up and ready for you every Thursday. So, check that out. Throw some comments out there. You can put comments on the SoundCloud. We'll check it out there if you have any. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any wants, desires, and anything you guys are interested in, we're interested in your input.
Yeah, definitely. And you can check out the YouTube version of this as well. Just go to YouTube and type in MTG-Profits. You'll find the YouTube version of this podcast that you can listen to.
Excellent.
So have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll be talking to you soon. So may your picks always be profitable. Take it easy.